Hey gentlemen, in this video we're going to be talking about over-the-road versus oilfield trucking. I could probably talk for days about why this business trumps over the road. There's so many topics. I'm just going to list out the main ones that I've seen. You know, I personally haven't driven over the road. I just see a lot of guys come from over the road and they tell me about all the things. And, you know, there's thousands of videos on YouTube talking about over the road and what the profit margins are, the things they have to deal with. And I just wanted to make these videos so that you guys understood what the differences are. And you guys can see why this trucking business over all the other trucking businesses makes the most. Yes, there's probably some real tight-knit other niche groups out there with transport that make a killing, but I guarantee you this is the cheapest buy-in for the amount of money that we make. I'm telling you guys, out of all the trucking and transport jobs I've seen out there, I have yet to see anything as cheap. To be able to pay 20 grand to be able to basically profit that and more in your first month of driving, to be able to do a $500,000 gross revenue year in your first year by yourself with one truck, I'm sorry. I really don't see any other business doing that. Not that, you know, there's not other businesses that have extreme profit margins, but for the small buy-in and for the fact that the oil field takes on basically anybody and everybody, criminal background, you name it. If I told you how many felonies I've had, you wouldn't believe me. If I told you how many times I've been to jail and how many times I've been to prison, you wouldn't believe me. I'm telling you guys, this is where people change their life. So that's all I'm saying. I'm making these videos to be able to help whoever it is that is trying to get into this space or change their life and let you know, like, hey, look, this is an option. All right? I know I don't look flexed out or swagged out, and I don't look like I can go to the bank right now and just grab 200 grand and blow it on whatever the fuck. Is because usually when you make this type of money, real great money like this, you stop being flashy, you stop caring about it, you know, you become numb to it. It's not a big deal. In the beginning, you should have seen me. I was a wild man. But anyways, yeah, so over the road trucking versus oilfield trucking, I'm going to start off by saying we don't get paid by mile. That is probably the number one thing out there for the over the road trucking business, is that you guys get paid by mile. And with that comes a number of problems. Out here, we mainly do hourly. Yes, there's barrel rate, that's for another video, but I'm gonna tell you my whole career, I've been on hourly, 100%. Every time I move, as soon as that key hits the ignition to where it turns off, I am on an hourly wage of around 140 an hour is the average. Yes, there has been times where I've seen trucking companies bid things as low as 125 an hour. And yes, I've seen trucking companies out here getting work at 170, 180 an hour. And yes, on the barrel rate loads where you're paid by load, I've seen guys that overweight haul and that they're averaging around, with how much they hauled that day, around 200 to 250 an hour. I've seen it. But I'm just saying that compared to over-the-road trucking, we're not paid by mile. And why that's so important, especially for you guys that are getting your CDLs and you're coming into the business and you're trying to be an owner-operator, not necessarily the company drivers, because company drivers out there, even over the road, there's a lot of you guys that do get paid hourly as well, right? But when it comes to owner-operators, fuck no, that ain't going down. Out here, though, as an owner-operator, even as a company driver, you know, you usually as a company driver get like 30% of what the load pays or what you're getting paid. But I'm talking to the owner-operators. 140 an hour is usually the average. And remember, this isn't a daylight business. This is a 24/7 business. Like, when I say 24/7, I mean loads are being distributed and work is being distributed 24/7, even on the weekends, even on the holidays. So why that's so important to not get paid by mile, especially for you guys that are just getting into the space, you have never been in the transport business, is because when you get like paid by mile, let's say, bad weather, traffic, anything goes wrong with your truck, you know, the 30 minutes, 40 minutes downtime, pulling the way stations, whatever it might be, you don't get paid while you're sitting. You only get paid for motion, all right? And out here, to not get paid by mile, I mean, there's no really traffic out here. There's some extreme weather. We already know that North Dakota, and I'm talking about North Dakota, not really Pennsylvania, Texas, things like that. But out here in North Dakota, I'm telling you, it's almost like the worse the weather, the more valuable you are. The worse the weather, the more money that you make. you know, and that's not the case for over the road. Over the road is just strictly how many miles you can put down, and not only that, you're capped at 14, basically a 12-hour, 14-hour shift with over the road. I'm going to tell you about kind of the shifts that you're able to get away with out here. It's kind of stingy to talk about, but that's what it is. So yeah, like I said, we're all on hourly. That's a big deal for you to know. We do also, this is something that the over the road does not get ever, like ever. We get paid to sit. So let's say we go to an operation out here, and for some of you over the road drivers, you know, we're kind of in like a 20-mile radius and we deal with operations. We'll actually get paid to sit on location while an operation is going on and to idle. I mean, and I kid you not, and there's many other people that can attest to this. There's been times where I've sat on like weeks. When I say weeks, I mean weeks on a location, and I'm swapping out with one of my drivers or whatever it might be, and I'm getting paid the whole time. Yes, there's been times where the truck has been running 24 hours a day, and they've asked us to take away a few hours and just put 18 hours on the ticket for, you know, per shift. But I'm just letting you know, like, it is almost unheard of anywhere in the transport business that you can sit somewhere for a week or two and get paid the whole time 24 hours a day at that amount of money. It is unbelievable. And not to mention the amount of fuel that you're saving when you're just sitting there idling. I'm telling you guys, it is outstanding. And those opportunities pop up all over the place. And why they do allow paid wait time like that is because your truck is so valuable to this multi-million-dollar operation. Some of these operations that I pull onto, my one truck is going to save them hundreds of thousands of dollars if they shut down. So some of these operations, if they shut down, it's about $100,000 an hour. So yes, spending a $2,000 on me to just sit there is worth that, of course. Because they have something going on where they either need me to take fluid from something that makes the whole operation shut down, or bring fluid in and be on standby, it's called standby pay, to be able to give them that little bit of fluid that's going to keep their operation running. I'm telling you, that's just how it is. Or when we have blizzards, that's when a lot of operations say, hey, look, we're going to have a blizzard for 2-3 days. Can you come out here, sit on location, and just be here in case we need something sucked up and stuff? Remember, in this business, we're like big vacuum cleaners, or shop vacs, I'd say. And yeah, when blizzards hit, that's when they start calling people in to just come and sit and idle and not do anything, watch some movies, and make $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for a couple days just chilling. You don't get that over the road. Correct me if I'm wrong. So another difference between over the road and oil field is here in the oil field, we're only operating within about 100-mile radius. It doesn't go further than that. In majority of cases, we're going to be operating within a 20-mile radius, like 10 miles from one point to the next point. From A to B is about a 10-mile turnaround. That's usually what it is. In most cases, it's about a 10, sometimes 15 and 20. 20 to us out here, to go one way 20 miles is insane. We're like, damn, that's far. That's what we think out here. That's how spoiled we are. We think driving 20 miles plus is unreal. It's like, man, I have people out here that don't even want to do that. They want to stick in, 5-mile to 10-mile radius is what we're used to. That's the norm. So, you know, over the road, of course, you're going across the country. And I'm going to tell you why that means so much to be able to be in a 20-mile radius. First off, the amount of fuel you save, just being, you know, in a 20-mile radius, and you might ask, well, how many loads are you doing? Are you doing 50? No. On average, we're doing about 6 loads for the day of 12 hours, let's say. So about 6 loads is what you're averaging out, and you're doing about 120 miles for the whole day. That's a lot less wear and tear on like tires and things like that, and than the person that does that, you know, 1,000-mile stretch or that 2-state stretch for the day or whatever it might be over there. There's a lot more difference there. And when I say 20 miles, I'm not saying 20 miles up mountains either. I'm saying 20 miles on pretty much flat ground. Yes, some of the roads out here, the lease roads, we're not always on pavement. Some of the lease roads can be rough, but you go a little bit slower. It's not a big deal. But about 6 loads is like a pretty banging day. That's a lot of work for us oil field people. You know, of course, there's guys out there that are paying out like 12 loads a day, but they're on barrel rate and they're trying to make some big bucks. That's all. Another video. But yeah, about 6 loads. And within those 6 loads, it's taking you about 15 minutes, sometimes 25 minutes to load. You might be waiting in line, whatever it might be. And then it takes you about 15 to 25, maybe sometimes half an hour to offload. So you got to think, throughout those 6 loads, you're idling throughout that whole day almost around 4 to 6 hours. Guys, listen to what I'm saying. Over the road is linear. You are driving, you are pedaled at 70 miles an hour, sucking that fuel down. In this business, for about half the day, we're sitting there idling. Do you know how much of a reduction that is? Most of you over-the-road drivers, correct me if I'm wrong, you're paying about $8,000 on average a month in fuel. 8, sometimes more, depending on how much you're really kicking. All right, I'm talking about spending $3,000 to $5,000 a month in fuel. It's unreal, guys. $3,000 to $5,000 a month. There's been months, or there's been like, I mean, it's kind of rare that I've been under $2,000 because of how much sitting around I was getting paid for. It is unbelievable. Remember though, it's not because I'm some dipshit. It's not because I don't care about the operation. No, I was just that valuable to that operation. It was that useful. I was one of the guys that was very trustworthy to be out there to make sure to keep watching, because, you know, we have a lot of responsibility out here. Over the road, you're just point A to point B. There's really not a lot of thinking. And that is a video for another day, of course. You know, it does take a lot more brains to do what we do, but it's not rocket science. There's people out here with one finger, missing teeth. They never graduated high school, and they're doing a bang-up job out here. Trust me. So like I said, you know, that's a big deal. When it comes to that, the fact that you're doing about 6 loads, 120 miles, I know this doesn't make sense. Somebody kind of pressed me about the math and how it doesn't make sense, but technically, if you were to break that down in mileage and hourly and what you're getting paid to do it for, you're making about $16 a mile. So compared to over the road and oil field, you're getting about $1.40 to $2 a mile over here, stepped on rates, by the way, too many brokers. And over here, you're making about $16 a mile. Even if you did 12 loads for the day and you're on barrel rate, you're still doing about $10 a mile. That's unheard of, guys. It's unreal. So that's what I'm saying. When it comes to the hourly, you know, this makes a big, it makes a big difference, especially at 140. Those guys that are doing 170 an hour, they're absolutely annihilating it. It's unbelievable, and that's why I say the profit margins after everything, and I'm going to go through some other things. That's why I say after a $500,000 year, you should be able to stack away, like after everything, about $250,000 to $300,000. Like after all expenses, no problem, with one truck and yourself, not with a team of people or anything like that. I do say that a lot. You know, I mean, you get into a restaurant or pressure washing business or whatever, to be able to profit what we profit by ourselves, you usually need a group of like, I don't know, 5, 8, 20 employees. It's insane. By yourself. And you don't have to advertise. Of course, that's different videos there. They literally like sling you out here. When you're an owner operator out here, they sling you the customers like it's candy. Like Halloween, you go up to the door, knock on it, and then boom, there's all the work. It's insane, guys. You don't have to go and make ads or do anything crazy for it. It's wild. Yeah, so on to the next one. Basically, the reason why they pay so much here, and remember, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas is about $80 an hour on average. You know, I mean, that's pretty good money, but it's just, and yeah, you know, the price of like living down there might be a little bit cheaper, a smidge cheaper. Brake pads and transmissions and things like that may be a little bit cheaper because of freight costs and things like that, but it's not that much cheaper. The reason why they pay us so much money here, is because nobody wants to be here. Nobody wants to live in North Dakota. There's not really much of an economy except for the oil field here. There's about, what, 750 people? 750,000 people here in North Dakota in the state? It's like 10 people per square mile. It's crazy. Like I said, guys, the reason why they pay so much money out here is because they got to incentivize people to come out here. And I'm letting you guys know that compared to over the road, I think there's like, I don't know, 3 million drivers out there, something like that. That's what you're competing with. Out here, there's maybe 1,500 to 2,000 owner-operators. It's not a lot of competition, and all these men out here have made so much money, they're getting lazy, they're spoiled, they're rotten. They don't want to move. It's like pulling teeth to make a guy go out there for $2,000 in a day. It's insane. And I'm just letting you guys know, the hungry guys, the ambitious men, the men that are like, man, I can do that. To have like a $20,000 buy-in, you know, I'm talking about like a $10,000, $12,000 semi-truck. And then, you know, after some expenses and some operation costs, there's actually companies out here that will give you money to get going. They'll actually put you in a truck and give you a tanker and start you off and train you. I mean, it's crazy what they are willing to do out of here with the amount of money you can make. It's way different than over the road. Over the road, they will rape you from top to bottom. Out here, it's way different. So, like I said, man, you know, out here, it's really hard to get people to come out here and work and to care about the operations. And they pay us a higher wage to keep people here, and they just can't do it. Because either a lot of people, unlike over the road, everyone is dying for money. They're scraping by. They're just like, I don't know. It's just, I don't even know how you guys make money, honestly. Out here, a lot of guys, they made too much money and they're leaving. They're dying or they're quitting. They just don't know how to manage money correctly. All right? So they incentivize all that bullshit that they deal with out here, the high turnarounds, people making too much money, blowing it on things, you know, wives wanting to divorce them because they're making so much money and they're choosing this over their family. There's a lot of things here that create them to say, all right, we have to set the wage here. And the oil field is like decimated right now, and the average is still 140 an hour. When it's kicking, I've seen 200 an hour. When it's kicking, it's unbelievable. It's cash cow grabbing. But anyways, I digress. Let's move on to the next one.